Start recording. All right. I think it is live. Drop frames. Are you going? Excellent connection. So says. And boom. Live. Good. All right. So I'm going to try this out. This is my first ever live stream, and I apologize if it's a bit rough because I am one of these noobs to this sort of thing. But so far, it's been all right, I guess. Today I have an old PPT, an old PowerPoint that I've had for years, and I used to teach this, but I haven't looked at it for quite some time, and I figured it might be of use to somebody. And maybe going in. I know the new university semester is about to start in many parts of the world. So the idea was to actually present this. It's very rough, because this is one of the early PPTs I had when I first came here to China, and I was tasked with developing, well, I needed course content, and one of the things that my students used to say or ask for was some vocabulary or useful items for standardized tests such as TOEFL and IELTS, and they were of the impression that you had to use idiomatic language or idioms, a lot of idioms. As a result, they had a lot of funny sort of uses of English idioms, and some of them were on point, some of them were like, "Why did you say that? I don't understand." But this PPT I had was actually given to me by one of the teachers before, so shout out to Austin, who gave this to me many years ago, and he said, yeah, you could go through something like this if you're looking for something to cover, and I haven't updated it since. I mean, some of it's a bit dated. I'm not sure if you'd use a lot of these, but actually I'd be surprised. You'd be surprised how often and what situations you could use some of these idioms. I'm looking at this. This particular PPT was about money and jobs, and as you can see, I have 10 different idioms on the screen already. So what I would do with this is that I would show this initial screen, and I'd get the students to talk about it a little bit, and maybe come up with some ideas. Now, this is back in 2015 already that I first started teaching this. Even then, the ubiquity of cell phones was pretty common. So they would just go onto their cell phones and Baidu it or Google it, whatever the case may be. But I try to encourage them to actually talk it out before just getting the answer. Sometimes what they would be doing is that they'd actually be looking up the words because they didn't know what they meant. So, for example, breadwinner, bring home the bacon. They would know what that is. Silver spoon. They might be like, what is a silver spoon? Jackpot. They didn't always know what jackpot meant. But then to be in the red, this is actually a cultural thing, because in China, to be in the red is actually a good thing. To be in the red means you're making money. If you're in the green, means you're losing money. Whereas you flip that in the West, and in the West, it's if you're in the green, you're making money, or in the black. But if you're in the red, it's a bad thing. So I'll take you guys through it. It shouldn't take that long. There's 15 slides total, I guess. No, 13 slides total, and I'll just go through it. Sorry, not even 10 or so, whatever. But talk my way through it. See if we can answer some of these, and hopefully it helps some people along the way as you head into the university semester. So number one, with these money and job idioms, bread and butter. So this could go back quite a ways. I mean, who's the person? What do you do to actually earn an income? And for me, it's teaching English or associated work. Language consultancy, I guess, is a technical term. But breadwinner, bread and butter, and breadwinner are very closely related. Same with bring home the bacon. So these three, the first three, are sort of what you would say if when you're talking about home income, family income. And notably, this is my bread and butter. I am the breadwinner, and I bring home the bacon. So these have been around for a long time. I don't know the exact origins of these idioms. All I know is that I remember, I mean, they've been used for a very long time. You'll see them used in essays, in newspapers quite a bit. Not academic essays. You'd see them used in sort of maybe professional essays, but not academic. Because academic would be, they would try to use a bit more fancy terminology rather than these, I guess you would call them colloquial words. So bread and butter is what we call a reliable income, and that's so that's what you do every day to make money to buy the bread and butter for your family. Breadwinner, what do you think it is? Well, if you have a job and that's your bread and butter, that means you're winning the bread. So you are the supporter of the family. And then finally, bring home the bacon. Well, bread and butter is kind of boring, so if you have some bacon, makes things a little bit better, a little bit more salty and tasty. Bring home money for the family. Number 4, at all costs. So this is, I mean, you could you need to win at all costs. You need to do something at all costs. Has an idea of it could be a big cost, it could be a small cost, a lot of money, small amount of money. It could be a lot of time or not a lot of time, but whatever it takes, we got to get it done. So at all costs means no matter what. Born with a silver spoon in one's mouth. You might not actually hear this one. You'll hear a different version. I think this is the family-friendly version of this PPT because born with a silver spoon in one's behind would be probably a little bit more on point with what this idiom is saying, because this idiom has a connotation, it has a meaning of you're very privileged. You don't have to work very hard. Things are given to you quite a bit. So born with a silver spoon in one's mouth means that you're spoiled. You're not necessarily rich, but you're spoiled. You're given a lot of things, and this could be typically it's your family that does this. They coddle you quite a bit. They take care of you. This one be with boyfriends and girlfriends. Not like that at all. Face value. You look at something, you value it. What do you give it? A face value. So face value, very simply, is obviously what the obvious appearance of it, how much you would estimate, how much you would guess that thing to be based on what you see. So it's a very superficial valuation, very superficial estimate of what that thing might cost. Number 7, to cash in on something. So this means to kind of like, well, you're doing something, maybe you are, okay, so these next 3, 7, 8, 9 are all closely related. To cash in on something, number 7, number 8, hit the jackpot, and number 9, strike it rich. So number 7, to cash in on something, means that you've been doing something for a while. Investors are like this as well. Maybe if you bought a stock or you were an early investor in a company, you gave them $10,000 and they grew it up to $100,000 or $1 million, and you want to cash out. You want to take your money out, so you're going to cash in on something. You're going to get your money and find something else to do. Cash in on something also has the idea of if you're good at something. So being an English teacher, being an English speaker, or if you're a Mandarin Chinese speaker and there are jobs that need translators, you can cash in on your skills. So you cash in on something, you cash in on a skill, you cash in on an opportunity. So it's taking advantage of something, of some situation, or of some timing that you have available to you. Hit the jackpot, very closely to it is basically like a gambling terminology, but hit the jackpot, this would be along the lines of maybe it wasn't guaranteed to happen, and instead there had to be some sort of this is not skill, this is more luck. So you've been doing something, you've been cashing in on your Mandarin Chinese skills or your English teaching skills and your ability to move around the world, and then all of a sudden a job comes along wherein they're going to offer you 3 times your normal salary or something like that. You've hit the jackpot. You've got really lucky. You become to get rich. Typically, this has a financial meaning. If you hit the jackpot, you're doing something and you're going to earn a lot of money as a result. It could be a long time, short time. Either way, it's something that is very good, very fortunate. Number 9, to strike it rich, very similar to hit the jackpot, but strike it rich still has a bit of a connotation of gambling, of luck, of good fortune, of being in the right time at the right place. But strike it rich can also be something where you have put in a lot of work, a lot of effort, and finally you're seeing something pay off. You're going to cash in on it, and you're going to strike it rich. If you go to China, you can strike it rich. But you used to be able to by teaching English. Same with ESL teaching around the world. You could strike it rich in some places. Right now, AI, artificial intelligence, programming, and robotics, you can strike it rich if you are involved in those 2 industries. So very good to be in there. And then finally, number 10, to be in the red. This is something, again, in China means one thing, and in the West it'd be something different. So in the West, if you say you're in the red, people would be like, "Oh, that's not good." To be in the red means you're losing money, that your numbers have gone negative, you're below the line. Whereas if you were in the black or in the green, you'd be making money, you'd be above the line. So to be in the red means that you're losing money. To be in the green means you're making money. Now, in China, you'd flip that. To be in the red is actually up. It means to be making money, and to be in the green means actually down, and you're actually losing money. So here's the definitions that I'm using here. So you see reliable income, number 1, bread and butter, reliable income. Number 2, breadwinner, the supporter of the family. Number 3 is bring home the bacon, bring home money for the family. Number 4, at all costs, no matter what. Number 5, born with a silver spoon in one's mouth. So you're rich, you're very fortunate, everything's given to you. Number 6, face value, the obvious value or the superficial sort of value of something. Number 7, to cash in on something, to draw out money or take advantage of an opportunity. Number 8, hit the jackpot, to get rich, strike, get lucky in terms of finance. And then number 9, strike it rich, to get rich. It means to get rich in general, very luckily to get rich. Number 10, to be in the red, which means to be in debt. So taking these to make sentences with these, go through the first couple here. So I have, I think I don't know why it's not allowing me to reveal the sentences one at a time, but you'll get the full sentence right away. So some examples are: taxes are the government's bread and butter. Teaching English is my bread and butter. Some other people, if there's sports, if they play hockey, that's his bread and butter. That sounds great as well. If you're a wrestling fan, WWE, the bread and butter is to flip people around the ring, sort of thing, right? Number 3, in my family, my father is the main breadwinner, and my mother has a small family business. So this means that the father is the one who's making all the money, and the mother is making some supplemental income as well. Of course, you can always flip that around. My mother is the main breadwinner, and my father runs a small family business for whatever reason. Today it'd sound okay, but when this PPT was made even 10 years ago, I guess that was sort of the more norm, and still would be considered the norm here in China, where the father would be the main breadwinner and the mother would be a housewife and small family business owner, sort of thing. Number 4, the numbering is all mixed up here. Sorry about that. Here, so number 4, she was born with a silver spoon in her mouth, so she tends to look down on others. I mean, she's very spoiled, and she probably gets a lot of things. Maybe her father and her mother wanted to protect her from a lot of things, and that they gave her everything that whenever she cried, she got something. Whenever something was wrong, they tried to fix it for her. They never really let her do anything on her own. So she was born with a silver spoon in her mouth, means that she's a very spoiled child. And number 11, last week I went to Macau and I hit the jackpot. So that's, yeah, I went go gambling. I did not actually go to Macau. It's been very difficult in the current time, but go to Macau, went to one of the, what is it, Wynn Resorts or something, and hit the jackpot, made a lot of money on the craps table, or was it blackjack or something. I don't know, I'm terrible at gambling. I seem to lose everything anyway, so. Alright, so a couple more here. He took everything at face value. What does that mean? So he took everything at face value means that he didn't question anything behind it. He saw it, he's like, that's what it is what it is, not going to bother asking anymore. Hit the jackpot. He went to he went to Macau and made lots of money. He went to Vegas, put everything on number 22 red, and hit the jackpot. Then he went to black number 23, and then all of a sudden he lost all of his money, and he was in the red. So in Vegas he'd be down, but if he was in Macau betting on number, I don't know, 24, and he hit the jackpot, he could be in the red, and that'd be a good thing. Although betting on number 24 in China would be very odd. That'd be a Westerner thing to do. So those are the first couple here. Money and job, idioms. I have one other set of idioms that I'd like to go through as well. So again, here's one. Number 1, bread and butter, to be a reliable income. Number 2, breadwinner is the supporter of the family. Number 3, to bring home the bacon, bring home money for the family. Number 4, at all costs, means no matter what, we'll get it done. Number 5, born with a silver spoon in one's mouth, means that they're rich or spoiled. Number 6 is face value, the obvious value of something, or the superficial surface value of it. Number 7, to cash in on something, means to take out the money or take advantage of something. Number 8, to hit the jackpot, to get rich or get lucky. Number 9, strike it rich, means to get rich. Number 10, to be in the red, means to be in debt. Nice. So moving along, I have another set of idioms here. Again, from my early days of teaching in China. Technology idioms. So these were always, this was back in the days when, well, yeah, people liked this because they would talk about cell phones and computers. And even 5 years ago, those cell phones were all over the place. You know, the advances back then were always greater than they were last year. Nowadays, a new phone comes out every month, and it's not a big deal. But back then, some of the cell phones weren't released as much, so the steps seem to be a little bit larger. So this series of idioms about technology deals with some of these, being able to address some of the things that you could talk about when you're talking about technology. So again, 9 of them, and number 1, cutting edge technology. Number 2, on the same wavelength. Number 3, out of steam or gas. Number 4, throw a spanner in the works, or throw a wrench in the works. Number 5, critical mass. Number 6, a flash in the pan. Number 7, to tune in. Number 8, to get your wires crossed. And number 9, to be a robot. So the one here, number 4, throw a spanner in the works, that'd be your, I guess that'd be British and then also Australian. But in North America, we'd say throw a wrench in the works. So a wrench is one of those things like this, and you turn the nuts and the bolts and things like that. And yeah, so we'll talk about the meaning of that in a short amount of time. Number 1, so cutting edge technology. Why is it cutting edge technology? Good question. Why would you ever have a cutting edge? When would you have that? Well, probably, I want to relate it back to the times of making swords, technology, because it was the best thing ever. If you didn't have good cutting-edge technology, it means your weapons weren't very sharp or very good, and you were at risk of having a dull blade. If you've ever gone to war with a dull blade, I've never gone to war, but I'd imagine having a dull blade is not a good thing. You want sort of a sharp edge, so you want cutting edge, you want the latest, you want probably the best possible technology sort of thing. So it's the latest and greatest. It's just been to the shop, it's just come out, and it's ready to be used. So cutting edge technology would be the most modern, newest technology. Number 2, on the same wavelength. Right, so you're like that. There's your wavelength, and to do that, to do something like this, often means to be in sync, but on the same wavelength is more along to be on the same lines. So you're understanding each other. Someone says something, I'm on the same wavelength. I agree that coffee should be hot, not cold, sort of thing, right? So to be on the same wavelength means that you're both doing the same dance. You're doing the same jive. You're together. You understand each other. Number 3, out of steam or out of gas. So I'm guessing this goes back quite, back in the steam engine days, when something, if it didn't have enough petrol, enough fuel, or steam, coal to power the steam engine, then it would slowly stop going, it would slow down, and it would stop altogether, and you'd have to refill your tank before you could get going again. So number 3, out of steam or out of gas, means to run out of fuel, to lose energy, become tired. Number 4, throw a spanner in the works or throw a wrench in the works. This means to have a bit of a problem. So you were maybe studying your language, doing your Chinese vocabulary, and then all of a sudden you go to make some coffee and you drop your coffee pot and it shatters. And you're like, well, that throws a spanner in the works, because now you can't make coffee in your coffee pot, and now you have to clean up everything and hope you don't cut yourself on the coffee pot, right? So throw a spanner in the works or throw a wrench in the works means to have face an unexpected circumstance, an unexpected delay in getting things done. Number 5, critical mass. So this is something not directly technology related, but has to deal more with the uptake of something. So the reason why certain features for cell phones are there, and the reason why some others aren't, is because they can hit a critical mass. They've been used by enough people, they're adopted by enough people, that they are so common, they almost become expected sort of things. So with the cell phones especially, looking at cell phones in general, now cell phones have hit a critical mass wherein it's almost impossible not to live without a cell phone. Like if you don't have a cell phone, it's to the point that cell phones have become necessary, basically, rather than a discretionary, something that you choose to have. It's something that you probably need. I know here in China we have to scan QR codes. All their money goes through cell phones. Bus tickets, subway tickets, payment systems, communications, everything goes through a cell phone these days. So critical mass means something to the minimum amount of resources or people or uptake of some idea. Number 6, a flash in the pan. This, I don't know where this idiom comes from, but I imagine it's along the lines of cooking or vehicles. I would actually think, excuse me, something along the lines of if you see a flash in the pan, it happened very quickly. So it could be a small explosion. Doesn't have to be a big thing. But it's a very short period of time, very short duration, and once it's a flash in the pan, so you see it and then you don't, sort of thing. Number 7, to tune in. So this is actually goes back to like when radio first was deployed or used and released to the people. You would tune in. Same with TV, early days of TV. you would tune into a station, but if you're old enough to remember the dials on a radio, you'd actually have to twist them. Nowadays, what has a dial? Nothing has a dial. Those little knobs you'd twist and turn, and AM and FM radios, you'd have to sit there twisting this little knob trying to get the sound to come through clearly. And back then, I mean, there wasn't as much interference with the frequencies, but you also had to know where to look for those frequencies and take those knobs and make sure that it was right on the band that was accepting those frequencies. If not, you get a little bit of static. And so number 7, tune in, means to actually be able to dial in, tune in, to pay attention. Number 8, to get your wires crossed. So this could be very much a computer-related, early computer, but also could be a vehicle idiom as well, wherein you're setting things up. Electricity as well, very much electricity oriented. To get your wires crossed means something along the line of you're confused. So bomb diffusion. Don't get your wires crossed, or else bad things can happen. But the idea here being that if you mix up your wires, this actually goes back to like AC/DC voltage, and if you even trying to jumpstart a car, if you get the wires mixed up, you can't always start your car, and can cause some injuries and damages that you don't want to deal with, and throw a spanner in the works for sure. But to get your wires crossed means to be confused or not understand something properly, and so maybe you need to tune in a little bit more to be on the same wavelength as the other person. Number 9, to be a robot. So I know a lot of people like to direct this at certain types of students. To be a robot means, this is very similar to be a sheep. So to be a robot is the technological idiomatic expression of to be a sheep. But to be a sheep is more like being a follower. To be a robot means that you're not so much a follower, so much as you're just not thinking on your own. You're just going through the motions, you're doing something that without thinking about it, you're not paying attention to what's going on. This can be a good thing if you're doing your Chinese vocabulary, for example. You got to be a robot. Just sit there, read it, say it, make a sentence, move on. Repeat it, say it, learn it, and do a sentence, move on, sort of thing. So to be a robot is to do something. You're a mindless follower, unemotional as well. You're a sheep, but has more of a connotation of you're doing something without feeling and without much thinking. So I have some example sentences I'll put up here, and you can take a look at what these are. There we go. So these are the definitions here. So number 1, most cutting edge technology, the most new or modern tech. So this new iPhone 14 now, new iPhone is cutting edge technology. It can do everything you need except make you coffee. It can get you coffee delivered, but it won't make it yourself. Number 2, I know I don't need to mention it to you, but we are always on the same wavelength. So we always understand each other, which is a good thing. Number 3, moving on, to run out of steam or gas, to lose energy, and to become tired. We better get some food. I am running out of steam on this task. So I'm getting tired. Low blood sugar, often the reason for running out of steam while you are studying, or you're feeling lethargic. Get some protein inside of you, some sugar as well, and make sure you drink your water, so that you don't run out of steam or that you don't run out of gas. Number 4, to throw a spanner in the works, to sabotage something or to wreck something. Bill was jealous of his roommate's essay, so he decided to throw a spanner in the works by deleting some computer files on his mate's computer. That's terrible. You shouldn't do that. You'll cause some bad news bears some bad feelings, I guess. But yeah, to throw a spanner in the works, throw a wrench in the works. Bill is deleting his roommate's homework. A terrible thing to do. Moving on, number 5, critical mass. So it's the minimum amount or minimum number of people or resources needed to start or maintain or sustain a project. Once the number of people using Groupon reached a critical mass, they started to get large discounts when shopping. Does Groupon even exist? Once the number of people using Google reached the internet reached a critical mass, the quality of websites increased drastically. So things got better on the internet as more people used it. Number 6, a flash in the pan. So popularity doesn't last. This period of time doesn't last. So number 6 here, the singer had only one popular song on his first album, but it was just a flash in the pan. We'd also call this a one-hit wonder. So especially when it relates to singers, flash in the pan success, very fleeting, very short time, short duration, but it's not sustainable. They one-hit wonder. They had one good song, and then the rest weren't so good. Finally, last 7 and 8. Well, my numbers are off, but doesn't matter. I don't have. I don't have number 9. Oh shoot, that's what's missing. Right. So number 7 here, to tune in, pay attention, or understand. I'm going to say something important, so please tune in. You wouldn't really say that. Sometimes I think that's a little bit dated. Tune in next week when we discuss more about collocations. Something along those lines. So pay attention, understand. Maybe even as English teachers, hey, tune in, please. Hi, dial in, tune in. Put your phone down, tune into class, please. Pay attention. Let's do this work. I know you don't want to be here. Some of them do want to be there. The ones who don't want to be there causing troubles and they're not tuning in. Gotta say something. Just don't bother the smart girl in class. How's that, okay? Or the smart boy, smart kid. Don't bother the smart kid. Let them do their job. Let them do what they're good at, right? Number 8, to get your wires crossed, to misunderstand. So excuse me, you are in the wrong class. You must have got your wires crossed. Definitely. Yep, you could say that. That would work. A bit more, what else could you say for computers? Well, this thing isn't working. I must have got my wires crossed, literally. So maybe I plugged in the cable into the wrong outlet, so that would be one reason why something isn't working. Or a failed meeting. So if you, Judy, I thought we were going to meet at 3 o'clock. It's 3:30. I've been waiting for you. And she's like, you must have got your wires crossed. I said tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Oh, so bad. Now you got to rearrange your schedule because you got it wrong. You got your wires crossed, which means you didn't understand exactly what was happening there, or didn't understand the idea. Final one, going back to this, to be a robot. So, what is it? Steven is such a robot, he doesn't really think on his own, he just does what he's told. Steven is such a robot in his Chinese studies, he doesn't even think about it, he just does it. It's like he's programmed to just study, and that's it. He has no feeling, he's a robot. It's impossible to stop him from studying his Chinese vocab. Alright, so there you go. Some different idioms for you. Once again, with the money and jobs idioms. 10 different money and jobs idioms there for you. Bread and butter, breadwinner, bring home the bacon, at all costs, born with a silver spoon in one's mouth, face value, to cash in on something, hit the jackpot, strike it rich, and to be in the red. And then with these technology idioms here, number 1, cutting edge technology, on the same wavelength, to run out of gas or run out of steam, to throw a spanner in the works, critical mass. Number 6 is a flash in the pan. Number 7, tune in. Number 8, to get your wires crossed. And number 9, to be a robot. All right, so going to leave it there. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. Hope we're on the same wavelength, and I hope you haven't run out of gas here just yet. We're using some cutting-edge technology here. I'm using OBS Studio to stream this, and although this live stream seems like it's a flash in the pan, you can watch the replay. And since YouTube allows us to do this, there's such a critical mass of people using live streaming technology. It's becoming more and more common. I certainly hope my internet connection lasts so it doesn't throw a spanner in the works. And with 35 minutes going so far, I'm not running out of gas just yet. We're on the same wavelength, and this certainly is some cutting-edge technology to be using wirelessly. Isn't it crazy? Awesome. All right, folks, thanks for listening. I appreciate it. I hope that helped you quite a bit and that you enjoyed that. Let me know if you have any questions or comments or concerns. Oh, goodness. Yeah, these PPTs are very, very old and very plain, I know. Well, quality over quantity, right? Isn't that what we're supposed to go for? Have a good one. Thanks for watching. Bye.